Hi, I'm Nisha DeGaring, host of Good Things Utah, and I've been a longtime supporter of Todd's Belief Cast. I hope you find inspiration in the courageous stories shared by the amazing people Todd features on his show. The guests serve as shoulders for us to stand on, allowing us to see a little further and cultivate belief in oneself. Remember, you have the dignity and power to change. I encourage you to keep striving and believing in yourself. Enjoy today's podcast.
I want to take a moment to express my heartfelt gratitude to the incredible sponsors of the Belief Cast podcast. First, Craig from Craig Swap and Associates. If you need an attorney, he's your guy. Trustworthy, compassionate, always there when you need him most. Next, Wasatch Recovery, the greatest university on the planet, transforming lives one day at a time. Sandy from Minky Couture, the creative genius behind the most comfortable blanket you'll ever wrap yourself in. Comfort like no other. The visionaries behind Thread wallets. These wallets redefine style and functionality. Dave Philippi from Micro Plus, pushing the boundaries of nanotechnology and scientific research to bring us cutting-edge supplements for optimal health. The Ralphs and the Debenhams, creators of Mori Nutrition and Calm. Because if you're struggling with sleep, feeling stressed, or can't focus, Calm is your answer. Special thanks to the award-winning pianist Paul Cardall for his beautiful music that brings inspiration to every episode. And finally, Gab Wireless, letting kids be kids and giving parents the peace of mind they deserve. Right now, Gab is offering $25 off any device to new customers with no contract required. That's $25 off any Gab smartphone or smartwatch. Just go to gab.com/belief. That's where you'll get the best deal. That's gabb.com/belief. Thank you to all these amazing sponsors for supporting the Belief Cast podcast and empowering us to continue spreading positivity and inspiration to the world. Welcome back. This is Todd Sylvester, your host of the Belief Cast podcast. Thank you for tuning in, as always. And thank you for supporting this. It's been fantastic. We are really doing a lot of good out there. So many people are hearing these amazing stories from these amazing people that I bring on. So fortunate to be one sitting with the people face to face, and that you guys get to hear also their amazing story and how they've overcome certain things and how they're just making a difference in this world. And that's the whole reason of this podcast. Our beliefs dictate our behavior. And so therefore, if we can cultivate powerful beliefs, we can have a much more influence in our lives towards everyone else. So again, thanks to my sponsors that you just listened to. Without them, this wouldn't be possible. So thank you, sponsors, for believing in me as well. Today, we have a good friend of mine and a former client, Jimmy Peterson. Jimmy, thanks for being here today.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah, you guys are going to love Jimmy. He is an adrenaline junkie, kind of, if that's fair to say. This guy does some really amazing things. He owns a company called RedRock Ballooning. They do cliff jumping, hot air balloon. Is that how you say it?
Yeah, hot air balloon tours.
Tours. That's what I was looking for, the tours. Bungee jumping. Do you do all that yet? Or some
rope
of that?
Swinging.
Rope swinging. That's
Similar.
what it's called. Similar
Yeah.
stuff. So, which again, I've seen that. I've seen your videos. They're insane. It looks like you're just having the time of your life. Where I met you, if that's okay, for our listeners, you used to be a client here at Wasatch Recovery.
Mm-hmm.
Last night you celebrated your year sobriety.
Yeah.
Right. So congratulations.
Yeah, thank you.
That is amazing.
Yeah, it's been good.
Yeah.
It's been a fun year.
Well, you're an awesome client that we had here. You really worked your butt off. You really caught on to some things quickly, and you saw it for what it is, meaning you didn't overcomplicate it. You're like, okay, is this what I need to do? Okay, I'm going to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And I really appreciated that about you. You travel the world for adventure sports. You've been to Switzerland, all over the place to do some amazing things, which we're going to get into. And like I said, we've known each other now for roughly a year now, and I've been following you since you left Wasatch, and I'm really happy for you, Jimmy, and how good you've been doing.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I appreciate everything you guys did for me here, and took that and applied it to the real world, and it's been an awesome year.
Okay. Why don't we start off? Just tell us, our listeners, a little bit about where you grew up and maybe a little bit about your childhood.
Yeah, so I grew up here in Salt Lake. Moved to Moab when I was 20, so I've been there 14 years now.
Okay.
But yeah, the childhood was extreme in some ways. Like, I was first aware of what drugs were probably at like 4 or 5.
Really, that young?
Yeah. Just my grandma smoking weed.
Okay.
She was addicted to pills. Would like burn herself with pans and stuff like that.
Oh, wow.
And then, yeah, childhood. My parents got divorced when I was like 2. So at first we lived with my mom. And after I think she was addicted to meth for quite a while.
Oh, okay.
And then my grandma overdosed on pills, and that spiraled out of control. We ended up being taken by the state and moved in with my grandparents and my dad after that.
Okay.
And then my dad was addicted to alcohol, drank a lot.
Okay.
So eventually I moved back in with my mom. Mom, yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, that was kind of when the partying started. I'd like smoked weed a couple times, drank some alcohol, but
Well, let's go back to, I mean, obviously that's a rough upbringing right off the bat.
yeah.
I mean, to see what your grandma was doing, that she overdoses, your mom's struggling, you guys get taken away, parents were divorced. I mean, that is a lot for any young kid to go through. Can you remember what was going on internally? I mean, obviously you were a kid, but looking back on it now, what was that like?
I knew something was wrong, but it wasn't like a clear picture. I mean, I was so young that it didn't seem normal. And then like towards the end, before we got taken from my mom, I was like taking care of my little brother and sister, cooking them food, and my mom would be gone for days.
And how old were you at this point?
11 or 12.
Yeah, so here you are kind of being the man of the house, if you will, trying to make things go right and feeding your siblings.
Yeah, it was...
I mean, that's a lot for 11, 12-year-old.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah, so like I said, I knew something was off, but it wasn't until the state took us that it was like very clear. Like, I remember my little brother's dad showed up and just took him a couple days before the state showed up. And he was like, "This isn't right. I'm sorry you guys are going through this."
So talk about that. So the state comes in, they just basically come grab you and saying you're going to come with us for a while. I mean, what was that like?
I think they showed up with my dad. So they just came and took us from the house, said, "Grab your stuff." And then we moved up to my grandparents' house.
Wow.
Yeah. I don't have like clear memories of it.
Sure, yes. A long time ago, obviously.
Yep. Yeah, then switched schools. Everything was different. I was just getting into middle school. So yeah, that was kind of a weird experience to lose all my friends and go somewhere totally new. But yeah.
So how young were you when you started dabbling in with drugs and things like that?
I would say, well, let me think. Probably like 13. I remember my buddy Ethan was like, "Hey, this is weed. We should try and smoke it." And funny enough, I was busted instantly.
Really?
Yeah, me and my buddies were like wrestling, and I ended up getting a bloody nose. And I stuck toilet paper in my nose to stop the nosebleed.
Uh-huh.
And then we were trying to smoke weed, and I lit the toilet paper on fire. So I had this like burn mark on my nose.
Are you serious?
Yeah, and I came up with this lie that, we were wrestling and it's carpet burn, but it was like obviously a blister. And my dad was like, "Oh, did you like light the toilet paper on fire and it burned you?" And I was like, "Oh, no." But
yeah.
So yeah, I would say like probably 14, 15.
14, 15, and obviously you kind of had an idea of what drugs were because, again, of what you had seen go on with your mom and your grandma.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
Yep.
So that happens, but you didn't sound like you didn't get in trouble.
Nope, no trouble.
No trouble. So again, you kind of, not that you had the green light, but again, you're probably thinking, I'll maybe keep going down this road, or how did that look?
Yeah, and it was kind of I mean, in middle school, high school, it was like the cool thing to do. So yeah, I wouldn't say the green light, but it wasn't like a highly punished thing.
Yeah.
My mom was still doing drugs and out partying, so she made it like a cool thing to do.
Yeah.
So she definitely gave me the green light on that.
So how was your relationship at this time, like say at 12 and 13 years old, maybe 14, with your mom? What was that relationship like?
She was like a best friend.
Okay.
That made everything okay. I mean, obviously, she was trying to be the cool parent.
Yeah.
Because we got taken from her. She wanted us back in her life.
Sure.
And that was kind of how we ended up connecting, which at the time I thought was cool, but it was very toxic and not the direction I should have been heading.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Did that pitch yourself against your dad a little bit? Wanted to be more like, hey, mom's just kind of let me doing whatever, and dad maybe was trying to pull in the reins a little bit, or no?
Yeah, my dad was drinking a lot at this point, so he would have his like blow up moments.
Okay.
From drinking, and then when I decided to move back in with my mom, I just got tired of the screaming and yelling, and decided to move back in with her.
Okay.
I thought that would be better at the time, which
sure
it turned out to be the start of a lot of partying for me.
So yeah, talk about that and kind of take us from there. So you move back, start partying more, and now you're a little bit older.
Yeah, so I was 16, and that was basically when I started trying all the drugs: ecstasy, cocaine, GHB, mushrooms, acid. Like, I think I was going to raves with my friends. Other friends in this area were also partying, so it was kind of, even though I moved out to Eagle Mountain, I was still coming up here to see all the homies, and we were all kind of doing the same stuff. So
yeah. Did your family know, or did your mom or dad know that you were partying like this, or is it?
Yeah, my mom was there for a lot of it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, she was the one like introducing me to the drugs and being like, "Oh, this
so
is fun."
She knew what you were doing, obviously. Then.
Yep. Yeah, and the rest of the family could tell because I went from playing hockey and working out all the time to like losing a lot of weight, looking skinny.
Yeah. Did you quit hockey?
Yep.
So again, just got to the point where all you did was focus on partying, it sounds like.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Did you graduate from high school?
I did, yeah.
Okay.
I ended up, I skipped 1 year, so I ended up going to Valley, but then made up a year of credits along with the senior year. Graduated on the honor roll, which I don't think was hard from that school, but yeah, they make it pretty easy. But yeah, I did graduate with a diploma.
Okay.
And then, from there, started skydiving, packing parachutes.
So let's talk about that for a second. So here you are, you're partying, living it up. At this point, not too detrimental to your, I guess, daily life.
It had been, like, not going to school for an entire year was not good.
Okay.
So it was definitely going in the wrong direction, but I was still like keeping myself in check, if that makes sense.
So you graduate through Valley and whatever you had to do there.
Mm-hmm.
And then that's when you started, like, you had a desire to go skydiving?
Yeah, I grew up around skydiving from my dad.
Okay.
So he paid for me to get my skydiving.
So how young were you when you
license.
got that?
18.
18.
Yep.
But before that, your dad had been doing that his whole life that you knew about? Okay.
Yep.
So that's where it came. See, I could never remember where did this come from? Your love for the scary things in life sometimes.
Yeah, so as a kid, he would take us climbing, snowboarding, mountain biking.
That's awesome.
We'd sit and watch him skydive. He did some base jumps, so that's how I was introduced to it.
When you would watch him, would you be like, man, I want to do this one day? Or were you
100%.
like, man, oh, you were.
Yep.
Really?
Yeah, I was like, I'm definitely doing this.
So when was your first jump?
18th birthday.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And where was it at?
Skydive, Utah.
Okay.
So out in Tooele. And because I'd grown up at the drop zone, went solo with 2 people holding on to me. So I just kind of got fast tracked into that.
Yeah, so you didn't need to go with someone on your back like most people do, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep, exactly.
Wow.
And at the same time, I got a job packing parachutes
Oh, okay.
as, not my first job. I'd done like landscaping and stuff, but so that was kind of how I got right into the skydiving.
Dang. So talk about that first jump. What was it like?
I just remember thinking, finally, it's happening. Like the door opened and I kind of had the, oh man, it's happening. And then I jumped out, and you have to do certain things in the sky, each jump you do. But I just remember like looking down at the ground and be like, yeah, it's finally happening.
Wow. So, I mean, was there any kind of fear at all, or was it just more of you were just excited to get out and do this?
Yeah, I mean, I'd waited since I was a little kid.
Yeah.
So I think it was just more
So it's kind of
excitement.
in your blood, man. It's like,
Yeah.
this is your thing. So yeah, that fascinating. I've never been skydiving before, but I don't know if I ever will. And I know you're like, Todd, let's go.
Yeah.
You know?
You should try it at least once.
Should try it one time. And I don't know. The thought of jumping out of a plane, I don't know how to explain it to me. It just doesn't seem rational.
Yeah. It's
Right?
it's super safe these days. It's not like it was back in the day, but
Yeah.
I understand it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you jump out of this plane and you go skydiving. When did you realize, okay, I want to do this and I want to do this for a living?
Immediately.
So right then it was like, this is what I'm going to do the rest of my life kind of thing.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. I didn't know how I was going to accomplish that yet,
Right.
but I was like, yeah, this is what I want to do.
So obviously you're doing the jumping now, but you're still partying. You're still caught up in that. Let's kind of fast track this a little bit on what led you to come into Wasatch and getting help. So just talk about that time frame.
So what I didn't realize at the time is skydivers, extreme sports people love to party.
And this is the group of people you're hanging out with now.
All the time, yeah.
All the time. Okay.
So I mean, I was 18. That's when I started drinking beer because that was the thing to do at the end of the day.
Yeah.
When I moved to Moab, so the next year, this kind of played a major role in it. The next year, I found out my girlfriend was cheating on me. Tried heroin, ended up overdosing that night, and got put on probation. It wasn't intentional or anything. It was accidental. Got put on probation, was still smoking weed, so I got the chance to move to Moab. I met my old boss teaching snowboarding, and he was like, hey, come work for me. I can get you a job at the drop zone, packing parachutes, jumping for free. You can get your tandem rating that way. So I just literally moved to Moab, lived in a tent, and that was like my...
Lived in a tent.
Initially, yeah.
Wow.
Mountain bike, lived in a tent to get around town. And that was like my moment to just get away from everything up here. And
did you clean up when you were down there, or were you still partying pretty hard?
Nope, I was just smoking weed. Started rock climbing every day, skydiving every day, working on a hot air balloon crew.
And sleeping in a tent.
Initially, yeah.
How long were you in the tent?
For at least a couple months. Then I moved into a house. I mean, I had to meet people and all that. And from there, moved to Arizona, Phoenix that year, continued packing parachutes, became a skydive instructor. And then I had to come back and see the judge again and be like, this is what I was doing. I thought I was going to jail. 21st birthday, did my first base jump. My buddy took me out to the bar, ended up getting us in a bar fight. And so when they ran my license, they were like, oh, you have a warrant, you're going to jail. And got put back on probation, did no jail time. And then was really good from there. Once I was off that, same thing, drinking beer at the end of the day, smoking weed. And I did really well for a long time. And then fast forward to, coming up on 4 years ago, I got a DUI. So getting through that court process wasn't hard at all. But it was the FAA that I still am dealing with that was like, you're going to do this,
Explain
this, and
to our
this.
listeners what...
Federal Aviation Administration.
Okay.
So for my pilot license, I have to get a Class 2 medical.
So the DUI obviously put a kink in that.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Mega bad.
Which again affects your whole livelihood.
Yep.
This is like what right? So now you're probably going, oh no.
Yeah, exactly. So did good with that for a little while, and then last fall was kind of dealing with a toxic relationship, and then when I broke up with her, I started drinking beer, and I realized like, man, hangovers suck. So I kind of just went down a path of like drinking every day for, I think it was a week and a half. And yeah, my family was like, hey, you're going to lose everything. It's time to go to rehab. And that's how I ended up here.
That's how you ended up Wasatch. Wow. So obviously things were, the negative consequences that you hadn't really seen before were starting to happen. The DUI is obviously not a good thing.
Yep.
But then again, it's going to affect the FAA was going to say, you can't do any of this stuff now.
Exactly.
Right?
Yep.
Okay. So then you're thinking, okay, I better go get some help.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you're being completely honest, when you were coming here initially, and most people when they first get here, you're probably like, okay, I'm going to come here just to show good.
Being completely honest, I decided that I was going to take it seriously. I wasn't stoked to be coming to rehab. It was kind of like watching my mom go in and out. My dad had gone to detox, not rehab. It was kind of embarrassing. But when I got here, I was like, okay, I'm going to take this serious. I'm going to do it for me. And yeah, kind of just fast tracked myself on how to get the most out of it.
Yeah. Well, I can attest you did work hard and you put in a lot of effort when you were here, and you were a sponge. You really wanted to learn, and you really did kind of took it on like with your whole mind and heart and soul in it.
Mm-hmm.
It felt like, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
But again, I guess there's a good motivator for you to get here because again, your livelihood's at stake.
Yep.
Fair?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So you come here, you go through, how long did you end up staying roughly? Remember?
It was like roughly a month.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it was maybe just over 30 days.
Yeah. A little over 30 days. And then you leave here and you're still dealing with the FAA. Talk about that process. I mean, you don't have to go into every detail about, stuff you can share, but what does that look like and what are you dealing with?
I get drug tested 1 to 2 times a month for drugs and alcohol.
Okay.
And then I'm supposed to do like AA meetings every week.
Okay.
As soon as I got back to Moab, I found out there's like a 12-step recovery yoga program. So every week I was going 1 to 2 times a week to that. They do free community yoga.
Oh, cool.
So I got really involved with that community this year.
Nice.
And yeah, initially it was like, I know a lot of people go to sober living, I think is what it's called.
Sure. Yep.
But I was just thrown right back into the world. When I left here, I was on a plane going back to Moab. And initially it was like pretty weird. Unfortunately, everyone in Moab had heard I'd gone to rehab through family. And then as soon as that spread, it was like everyone was talking about it. So it was kind of a weird thing where people were like, oh, how did
they treat you?
A lot of people were really proud of me, actually.
Sure.
Definitely like the shit talking banter between some people was definitely annoying. But for the most part, everyone supported it. Super proud of me.
Yeah.
Moab has a huge partying problem.
Oh, I can imagine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was just one of those things that like, I was kind of embarrassed about it, but also not sure how to take it all.
Right.
But then, from there, it's just been really good.
Yeah. Well, so obviously the FAA is they've got some strict guidelines, which is probably a good thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely.
Right? And it's stuff you even mentioned the stuff you're still dealing with.
Mm-hmm.
Is there a time frame on that? Or is it just wait and see kind of thing?
It's kind of a wait and see.
Okay.
They gave me the special issuance and it's good for 5 years.
Okay.
So it could be up to 3 more years of it. Yeah. So I have to go up and see a doctor every 6 months to get the medical renewed.
Okay.
They have a program called the HIMSS program. so that when pilots do get in trouble, they don't just lose everything. They can go through this. And
Gotcha. No, and I guess that's a good thing, right? It helps keep accountability going, and and again, just making sure you're right on track. And again, you're a year clean, which is awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is a very commendable thing that you're doing. But again, you're still allowed to do your business, which is, like we talked about in the beginning. So talk about your business for people who may not know exactly what, maybe even base jumping is and all that stuff. So tell us about your
so
business.
the hot air balloon tours are just like a 1 to 2 hour flight, kind of showing everybody what's around Moab. We do it at sunrise, so once you get up, you can see all the formations and the national
cool.
parks. And
Yeah.
the base jumping is definitely the more extreme.
And for those who don't know what that is, what is base jumping?
Jumping off a cliff with a parachute.
Yeah. Wow.
So yeah, the tandem.
You got the parachute in your hand, if I'm not mistaken, correct? And then you throw it, or is it a pull?
We static line with tandems.
Okay.
Yep. So it's tied to an anchor on the cliff.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So
okay.
when you're by yourself, as long as it's tall enough, you can hold it in your hand, and then you throw a pilot chute out, and that pulls out your parachute.
Oh, I follow you. Okay. But but the other way is it's hooked to the mountain.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly. We put a bolt in, or you can tie it off to like a rock stack, or
and that ensures that the chute comes out
immediately. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah, that's the safest way to do it with tandems.
Yeah.
And we're going for a safe, repeatable experience.
So you do hot air balloon tours, you do base jumping, and then what's the other?
The upcoming one is a rope swing company.
Okay.
So you're attached on a high line to like climbing ropes, and then you jump into the canyon and swing back and forth. And
wow, I've seen videos of that. That looks insane.
I think it's scarier than base jumping.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, because it's just free fall for quite a while. It feels like.
Oh yeah.
Till it catches, and then you're going back and forth.
Yeah, it's intense for sure.
So you haven't started that yet?
We're in the permitting process, so we're kind of just waiting on that.
Getting certain permits.
Yeah, they have to give us a decision by the end of the month.
Okay.
So fingers crossed.
Yeah.
There was some setbacks with some local drama in Moab that kind of maybe stalled it out, but
okay. But the other ones are going strong, and your business is going well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So for those who want to do base jumping or take a tour down in Moab in a hot air balloon, how would they find you, and what's the best way to do that?
They can search the website, redrockballooning.com, Base Jump Moab. Andy and I, the owner of Base Jump Moab, we're business partners. So if they reach out to me, they can book either one. And once the rope swing's going, it'll be, kind of all together.
And do you usually get people who have done this stuff before, or are they brand new? Like, this is new to us, like especially like the base jumping.
Base jumping, they're definitely brand new.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what's the response typically when someone tries that for the first time?
Most people have loved it. It's definitely scary because you're walking up to the edge and you can feel and hear your heart beating.
Yeah.
I've actually taken a lot of people that haven't even skydived first.
Okay.
So yeah, it's just kind of this.
Just brand new. Here we go.
Yeah, and the base jumping, it's funny. A lot of people are going to do it just to like heal from something.
Really?
Yeah, like they just want a new experience to kind of jumpstart their life again.
Really?
Yeah, we've taken people that have been thinking about committing suicide or attempted it, and they've said it's changed their life.
Really?
Yeah, so it's kind of one of those things. Like even when I was a skydive instructor, I definitely took a lot of people. It was like their end of life goal, before they died of like a terminal illness, or people just want to go experience a thrill and kind of check it out.
Wow. Let's talk about those that are thinking about ending their life, and they do this instead, which is thankfully that's what they're doing. Talk about that. How do you find this out? Is that part of your interviewing process, or is it just you, Jimmy, being Jimmy, and just getting to know your client?
Just getting to know them.
Okay.
Even when I was a skydive instructor, I would talk to everyone, and just ask them random questions.
Yeah.
And oddly enough, a lot of people will just kind of tell you their life story, or they'll reach out afterwards and be like, hey, you know, this is what I was going through. But surprisingly, a lot of people will tell you very personal information before they're about to go jump off a cliff or out of a plane. And it's like the fear, adrenaline factor, I think.
Yeah. And then after the jump, you're also talking to them, and they're probably now what's been some of the responses, especially those who are thinking about, or maybe they're just really depressed.
Yeah, it was, we give dragon tokens to everybody, and we kind of give them a little story of how dragons were marking uncharted territories on maps. And this is like, you know, uncharting a territory on their map. So it's just kind of a way to go about life in a brave way, you know, going into the unknown bravely. And so, yeah, it's a powerful moment for people because they have to jump with us. We can't just push them off the cliff like you can out of an airplane. So, you know, they actually have to walk up to the edge. They have to.
I know, I've seen some of your videos, man, and then man, it's just, I feel it even in the videos. Just watching, I can feel it. Like, whoa. Can only imagine being there, you know?
Yeah, for sure. So it's cool to like show people that and show people that they have the ability to do that on their own.
Yeah.
Even though we're tandem, it's still, they're just as much involved.
Yeah, they have to do it.
Yep.
Yeah. Gotcha. So these people, when they get done, what's been some of the profound changes you hear from them? What are they saying, or what are, you know?
Usually, you hear a lot of people swearing, screaming. Some people cry when we land, just from being so excited, knowing that they did it. And yeah, actually, a lot of the responses have been like just following each other on social media. You know, they'll hit me up after and be like, "Hey, that really changed my life."
Dang.
Because I think initially it's kind of like the shock and awe moment for them.
Right.
Like they don't know what to think.
Yeah.
Adrenaline kicks in and they're kind of just like, wow, I did that. But yeah, I've got a lot of responses afterwards.
I bet. Does that make you like proud that you're doing this?
Definitely.
Because I know you love it in general, because it's just something you grew up with.
Mm-hmm.
You love doing these high extreme sport things, but to see people change and maybe even save a life, honestly, I mean, how does that feel? I mean, does that give you like, man, this is why I'm doing this?
For sure. Yeah, I've taken a lot of people skydiving or base jumping, and they actually ended up getting into the sport. And yeah, some of them have even become like instructors.
Really?
Yeah.
Like they're hooked after. They're like, man, I'm doing this.
Yeah, a lot of them became very talented jumpers. So it's cool to like teach people something new and then watch them grow and become who they are now.
Wow. That's got to be just amazing to see that. And I can imagine, I keep going back to those who maybe do it because they're feeling depressed and not wanting to be here. I think what a courageous thing for them to do that, to reach out to you and say, hey, I want to try this.
Definitely.
Right?
Yeah, it's cool to impact someone's life in that way and kind of show them something. I mean, there's only 4 places in the world you can do it. And
you're one of them.
I think 10 of us.
Wow.
So it's kind of not a super new thing, but it's pretty new compared to a lot of sports.
Yeah. Have you ever heard of the term misogi? I think it's pronounced, and it's a Japanese practice.
I have not.
So what it basically is, they call it a purification process, where they challenge you to pick one really difficult thing to do in the next year, and just something that goes completely out of your comfort zone. And if you do it and go through with it, it's a year's worth of therapy. Again, it'll purify you, is what they say. So like, it could be skydiving, base jumping, it could be starting a podcast, it could be writing a book, it could be running a marathon, it could be whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of what I'm hearing, is that these people are having these experiences. It's like, again, it's the purification process that the Japanese are talking about.
Yeah.
What do you think of that?
I would agree with that. Yeah. It kind of like purifies the soul, you know?
Yeah.
It's like, I won't name names, but recently I met a girl that was writing a book about stuff she'd gone through. And after She'd base jumped with Andy. I ended up taking her because it was his birthday party that day. So I met her at the birthday party, ended up jumping with her again. And that was the end of her book.
Really?
So everything that she was going through,
Wow.
that was her moment to be like, okay, I'm finishing my book. That's what I want for the world to read. And
That's amazing.
yeah, it was like very changing for her and really brought her spirits up. And so it's been cool. We've been staying in contact. And
I love that.
so yeah, it's I'm actually kind of doing something similar to that right now. I've always wanted to surf.
Okay.
So yeah, Wednesday I'm going to Mexico to try surfing.
Are you really?
Yeah.
That's awesome. I'm sure you'll pick it up quickly knowing you.
Yeah, we'll see. It's either
Yeah.
going to be that or I'm just going to be out there crashing and swimming for my life.
I know. Yeah, it'll be a challenge, but I'm sure you'll be up to it. That's really cool again that you push yourself that way. What does a day look like for you, Jimmy? Like, you've maintained your recovery for over a year now, and what does your days look like? Like, how do you keep yourself centered? I mean, outside of your work, what are you doing?
Hitting the gym a lot of yoga, pack rafting. Even when I'm not doing tandem base jumps, I'll go hike, and some of them are hikes, some of them you got to climb a little bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, just staying active,
Okay.
reading books, and then even just taking time to sit around and do nothing, watch some TV.
Yeah. Just make sure you find time to relax.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I bought this watch this year, and it turns out I need to relax more is what I've learned from the watch.
Well, again, I think correct me if I'm wrong, but I would imagine part of your challenge is because you're a go get it, man. Let's go. High adrenaline. I would imagine downtimes may be more challenging for you.
If the weather's good, yeah.
Yeah.
If it's
Weather's great. It's like, oh, I just supposed to, I'm going to hang out. You're like, no.
yeah, that can become challenging.
Okay.
So yeah, learning to take time to rest and chill is kind of
Okay.
a good thing. But like reading, even the yoga, which I don't know if that's considered resting,
Well, yeah, I would say, yeah.
but I think tracking it on the watch, I've done like 3.5 million steps hiking this year. Wow. And that was like 1,700 miles.
That's amazing.
But, then also just going to the river with my dog,
Yeah. Okay.
chilling on the beach, listening to an audiobook,
Yeah.
working on my suntan. That was a common theme for
Yeah.
me and Cactus.
I love that. Very cool. If there's someone listening to your voice right now, Jimmy, who's in a dark place, they're struggling, and they've tuned into this episode listening to you, what would you tell that one person right now who's in a dark place?
I would say to find something that'll excite you and make you happy, like give you that thrill to get out and do it more.
Okay.
I mean, that could be climbing, hiking, really anything. I took a health class this year, and being outside is huge for your mental health.
Right.
So yeah, I would just say get outside and find something you love to do and pursue it.
Okay. I like that. That's definitely good advice. Again, if people want to reach out to you, Jimmy, and they want to maybe ask you a question or learn more about your business or even sign up for some of your stuff, how would they do that? What's the best way?
RedRockBallooning.com. They can find my personal number, email.
Okay.
Yeah, so they can reach out to me that way.
Pretty simple.
Yep, we can.
RedRock Ballooning.
We can go get after it.
No, I love it. I'll put that link in the show notes when we go live so people can click right to it and get there. But yeah, I know you're constantly inviting me, hey, get down here and do this. And one day I might hit you up on that.
Yeah, you guys should. Even if you just fly in the balloon, it's, I mean,
Yeah.
have you been to Moab?
I have. Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a beautiful way to kind
It's
of
beautiful down there.
see it all in one. Because,
Yeah.
you know, when you're in the canyons, you only see, like, what you're currently
Right.
looking at. But
Yeah.
getting up in the air and seeing it.
Oh,
The
man.
ballooning is like a peaceful, it's a romantic experience. Like, a lot of couples will come do it.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah.
And it's nice and relaxing.
Yeah.
And then if people want to take it to level 100, we can quickly go do that too.
Is that a daily thing where you're doing tours daily, or is it just a certain, I guess it also depends on the weather, things like that.
As long as the weather's good, yeah, we'll usually go like 5-6 days a week.
Okay.
And then we can fly year round, but it's more of a March to November thing.
You probably have to be really good at watching the weather, I would imagine.
Yeah, I've definitely
Yeah.
gotten really good at that.
That's awesome.
But yeah, I'd say everyone should come to Moab and check it out. It's definitely one of the adventure spots of the world, and it's also gorgeous. Like you can't, you can look all around you, and it's beautiful.
Just the view is magical, right? Just be able to do something like that at that beautiful place, right?
Yeah, even if you're just hiking around, seeing arches and stuff, it's kind of a one place in the world to do all of it.
To do it all.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, dude, I'm really impressed with you, man, and I'm so grateful how well you've done over the last year. Like I said, I've followed you on social media ever since you left here. We've stayed in touch. You know, I've given you some book recommendations, things like that. I've been grateful for that, and I just love your zeal for life, and I'm so grateful you're doing it without mind-altering substances. I mean, that says a lot about you, dude, and I'm proud of you, dude, and I hope that's okay to say that.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it. I appreciate everything you guys did for me here, and I gotta say, it feels good to feel good all the time.
Right.
Even if I'm tired, it's like you still wake up feeling good, and you're like,
still feel good.
This is great.
No, I'm impressed, man, and I'm so proud of you, and I hope people will reach out to you, and when they're down in Moab, that they'll sign up for your services and have these life-changing experiences that you talk about. And again, I think the thing that touched me the most is when you said these people who are maybe having thoughts of not wanting to be here, and they come down and they use your services, and it's just a profound change for them. And I think that's, I mean, to be honest, you're saving lives in that capacity. How cool is that?
It's amazing. It's one of those things that, like, when you share an experience like that, you know, you're instantly friends.
Yeah.
Like I tell everyone, find me on social media, you know, tag me, hit me up. Because it's, even if they just do one of the experiences, they can always come back. And we do like climbing, canyoneering tours with Base Jump Moab, and it's kind of going to be you can come here and we can pretty much do it all.
Yeah.
So yeah, the possibilities are endless.
Yeah. Well, I love it, man. Congratulations on your success. Congratulations on your business and how well that's doing. And just grateful to see you again. And I'm so glad that you were willing to take some time to be on my show today.
Yeah, thank you for having me. When I left a year ago, it was a goal of mine. I was like, all right, when I hit a year, I'm coming back to do this. So
I'm so glad you did, man. No, I'm glad, and it's truly an honor. And so thank you for your time today. I appreciate it so much.
Yeah, thank you, Todd.
Okay, you bet, Jimmy. Okay, there you go, guys. Another amazing interview. Jimmy Peterson, please check him out. I got the links in the show notes. Please go. If anything, follow him on social media. You will love watching these videos. They're fantastic, and it will brighten your day. So, again, thanks to my sponsors, and thanks to you for tuning in once again. I love you. Until next time, take care.